Hey everyone, today I'm going to build this custom Flamethrower droid to add to my collection, so stick around to see how I do it. As with previous projects, I'm going to start with a base, which is this articulated model toy. I'll put a link down in the description to where you can find one yourself. It's a really good base because it has great articulation and makes things easier to build off of. I've already showed in previous videos how to put these together, so for this one I'm just going to cut straight to the chase and finish it off camera. Whenever I'm building these models, I usually start with the head, as that usually dictates how the rest of the body is going to look. And when I'm making these, I tend not to know what it's going to look like. I just sort of put parts together and see if they look cool or not. And as I'm building it, I just add more and more pieces until I'm happy. The first thing I do is I change up the legs so that they're less human looking. I'm going to make mine more of a digitigrade style, which is the kind of legs that cats and dogs have, where they're actually standing on their toes. And so I'm just using more action figure parts, and I will recreate the leg into the shape that I want. To change up the arm shape, I'm going to take the arms off first and then extend the shoulders using some wire and beads to add some space for the armor to go on. I was having a really hard time finding the right pieces to make the chest armor. I ended up going with these two tank tread toy pieces, cut them up, glued them together, and it worked out pretty well for a chest. With the addition of the shoulder armor, you can see why I needed to extend the shoulder blades out, because without it, these pieces would have never fit. As I start to add details, I have to start gluing the joints in place so that when I'm adding those small details, the whole body isn't moving around. My droid was starting to look like it had never done leg day before in its life, so I had to add these pieces to make things look a little more proportional. I'm going to be using these pipettes and this action figure wing set to build the fuel tanks that'll go on the back of the droid. Right now the pipettes are still really squishy since there's nothing inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 2-part epoxy and I'm going to try to fill them up so that it adds some rigidity. And this comes with one of those pre-mixing nozzles, which fits great into the hole of the pipette. And I wasn't really sure if this was going to work at all because there was no way for the air to escape, but it actually worked out really, really well, and I'm happy with how this turned out. I also take this time to add a few more spikes to the head to make it look a little more intimidating. For the flamethrower, I'm going to borrow this Gundam rifle, and with a bit of modification and a few cuts here and there, I'll make it look more like a flamethrower and less like a Gundam rifle. The final step before painting is to use this really thin super glue and lock all the joints in place. Just like most of my projects, it starts out with a flat black primer, and then using a makeup brush and some silver paint, I'll do a silver dry brush over the entire droid. For color theme, I'm going with yellow and black, sort of a construction theme. And I'm using this Vallejo model paint in this really bright yellow color. I found pretty quick that the yellow doesn't really go directly on the black well, so I had to start painting everything white first that I knew I wanted to be yellow later. And having a white base really made the yellow pop and made it easier to paint. The masking didn't work super well on this, but I went in later with a black Sharpie and cleaned up those overspill areas. Moving on to weathering, here I'm using something called black wash, which is just black acrylic paint mixed with water, and I brush it over the entire thing, let it seep into all the cracks, then I'll go in with a paper towel or a tissue, and I'll dab most of it away. This leaves all the deeper areas with grime and black paint and makes this look like it's been through a couple battles. Then I'll go in with a detail brush and hit any area that I think would be extra weathered and extra dirty, like around the feet. For the display base, I'm going to use this cheap craft store frame and use some alcohol inks to stain it. First, I spray it down with some isopropyl alcohol, and this just helps the ink sink into the wood easier. I cut a piece of pink insulation foam to fit inside, and then using a mixture of Mod Podge, paint, and a little bit of sand, I paint on a protective layer that also adds some more detail and texture. Then using a light dry brush of some darker tan, just do a quick little dry brush over the top and make those details pop. Add some pins into the feet of the model, and then it's ready to glue into place. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, let me know. Any comments, questions, concerns, put it in the comment section. I'll try to get back to you guys. In the description below, I'll have a bunch of links to all the materials and tools that I used during this video. They are Amazon affiliate links, which basically just means that if you buy that product through that link, I get a small percentage. You don't pay anything extra, and it helps me make these videos happen. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.